Has anyone here ever been lonely? Of course you have. We all have. Everyone experiences loneliness, and if not dealt with appropriately, can cause some pretty serious health issues. Think back to a time where you wanted to introduce yourself to someone new and decided not to. We've all done that as well. Back in 2015, I lost my best friend to suicide, unfortunately. And since then, I've struggled with introducing myself to people, oddly enough, and making new friends. Loneliness is our mind's way of bringing us together and keeping us from isolating ourselves. But in tough times, loneliness can cause us to become defensive. And that defensive behavior can lead to chronic loneliness. Firstly, let's talk about why loneliness came to be. Why do we have it within ourselves to be able to become lonely? We are biologically wired as humans to connect with one another. And all the way back to the Stone Age, we've been coming into groups and social circles to help each other with protecting one another, with gathering food, with raising children. And being isolated from those groups would most certainly have caused you to lead a very short life without any possibility for children. And we don't want that. To summarize a page out of John T. Cacioppo's book titled Loneliness, Human Nature, and the Need for Social Connection, evolution has helped us to make a certain sort of pain, a social pain, to help prevent that isolation from happening. And that sort of social pain is what we call loneliness today. Now, because it is a form of pain, we tend to become defensive around pain. And I'm referring to the sort of defensive behavior that would be associated with avoiding social situations to prevent harm to us, mentally and emotionally. That defensive behavior can become self-sustaining and keep the loneliness from ever healing itself. If you think you're going to get hurt, you tend to avoid it, whatever is going to hurt you. And we start associating that different pains are loneliness, are part of loneliness, and misinterpreting what we are perceiving as loneliness, such as being rejected by someone that you are interested in, or loss of life of a loved one, or even just not being invited by your friends to go somewhere. And we start putting up these walls in our mind to prevent these perceived threats from causing us harm. But what we end up doing is excluding ourselves from social situations. And slowly over time, not wanting to do anything with anybody anymore. And that's very, very dangerous. That's called chronic loneliness. Researchers and health professionals in recent years have voiced their concerns about chronic loneliness to the public. There's been many studies that show the risks of loneliness and also some studies on how to solve the problem. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services noted that they view loneliness as more dangerous than obesity. Cigna, one of the biggest health insurance companies globally, cited that they view cigarettes on equal terms with loneliness. A pack of cigarettes a day. A pack of cigarettes a day. How many packs of cigarettes a day would you be willing to smoke before you decided that you had a problem? And that it's a hard problem to deal with. The same company, Cigna, has a behavioral health division that did a survey over 10,000 people And they found that 61% of those people are lonely on a regular basis. And that's a pretty astonishing number. If that, imagine 61% of the people on the planet being lonely. Luckily, there is a social psychologist named Heather Grant Halverson that has been studying how to defeat loneliness, essentially. And she found that the most effective way, or the best solution she came up with was to break that sort of cycle of negative thoughts and defensive behaviors that sustains loneliness in the first place. And you can do that by changing the sorts of behaviors that you exude. In summary, I'd like to say that now that you know what loneliness, or a little bit more about what it is and how it can affect you, I hope that if someone needed to hear this, that they grow from it. And if you're struggling, you're not alone. Try to fix it by yourself. I encourage that, but if you need to seek professional help, please do so. Thank you.